All right, I think we'll get started here. Welcome everyone to the very first in the Leitzinger Artist Masterclass series hosted by Forest Music in conjunction with Leitzinger Bassoons. We are absolutely honored to have the wonderful Nanci Belmont here with us today. But before we get started, I'm going to play a couple of things from our sponsors, Leitzinger. We have, just so you know, here at Force Music, we have a full range of their products, including two of their absolutely gorgeous, lovely bassoons, the Model 1 and Model 2 here in stock. So if you're interested in playing those, we have those here ready for trial, and we can ship anywhere in the United States. In addition, we have more than 100 of their vocals in stock, so if you're interested in some of their fantastic vocals, we have those as well and able to ship those out anywhere in the United States, up to 4 at a time. But let's start off with a video from Leitzinger here. Let me know if you guys can all hear this.
I can't hear it.
I can't hear it either.
Yeah, Ali, I don't know if you're hearing us through this, but there's no sound.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
There's no sound coming across.
There isn't no sound coming through. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. Sorry, my apologies. Trying to get this to work here. I may just do it this way. Let's take a look here. So it's working this morning. This back here. Share screen and share sound. There it is. Okay.
Greetings from Germany.
Can you guys hear that now?
Hello everyone. My name is Stefan Leitzinger and I am the maker of Leitzinger bassoons and vocals. I'm very happy that you are joining us today in the masterclass that we offer in cooperation with Forest Music. I would like to thank the great artists who are teaching the Leitzinger Masterclass series. Nanci Belmont, Frank Morelli, David Peterson and Alban Wesley. These artists also form the International Leitzinger Bassoon Ensemble, which are going to perform for the first time in this Masterclass series. Enjoy it and have a great time.
All right. Right then. So, and then they also sent the wonderful recording of the International Leitzinger Bassoon Quartet. So let me get that up and running here for you. Share screen. This one. Sound for that one. Can you guys all see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I think I had the share sound.
You are muted.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Yes, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so very much for that. Now we're going to get started with the masterclass. We have two participants today. We're going to start with Kennedy Plains of the Manhattan School of Music, and she's going to be work with Nanci first. So Nanci, I'll let you take it away from here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allie, and thank you to Forest Music and Leitzinger Bassoons. I'm so very happy to be here working with both of the students today, but also to be here with everyone else that's on this Zoom call. Just before we jump in, Kennedy, get started, for those of you that don't know me as well, I teach at the Laundry School of Music of Bard College, but I live in New York and I'm a freelancer here. And so I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats, and one of those hats is that I enjoy and do a lot of contemporary music. So part of the theming, very soft sound from me coming in. Okay, hold on one moment. Let me go and try and fix that. All right. How about is this better? I mean, there's a siren outside, but
Just a little bit.
okay, how about now? Turning up the gain.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. I will try to speak in my stage voice while I do that. Maybe that'll help a little bit more. Okay, so like I said, I do a lot of different different things, but contemporary music is one that I do a bunch. Bassoon music from the past 50 years is the topic of today's class. For the repertoire requirement for the performers, it's an extremely broad topic. The music written from 1970 to today is filled with so many different styles, different composers, concepts, and techniques. But contemporary music can mean a lot of things. The only uniting factor of all of these pieces in that time period is that they've been written somewhat recently. Some composers in this time period then are writing, with techniques you may not be very familiar with, and would not hear in earlier music, things like microtones, flutter tonguing, theatrical elements you'll hear a little bit. I know the piece that Vincent is playing has some movement in it. Some composers stick to more traditional palettes and might do something else like vary meter and tempo. And then some write in, very conservative styles. But the music is all considered contemporary by virtue of being written by those who are in the world today, being creative and making art. So I want to jump right into it. Kennedy, before you get started, I would love for you to talk to everyone and tell us a little bit about yourself. We know you're at MSM, but kind of where you are in school, and then a little bit about this piece.
Yeah, so I'm a rising junior at Manhattan School of Music, and I came across this piece preparing it for the IDRS Norma Hooks competition. Yeah, and normally I didn't really have a lot of like contemporary stuff in my repertoire, so preparing for that kind of like broaden my horizons, I guess, because I was always just, in the traditional like Weber, Saint-Saëns, like classical romantic stuff. So playing this piece and like knowing that it was contemporary, but also that it's like it's melodic and I can still like wrap my head around it, like kind of open my mind more to like looking more into contemporary stuff.
Yeah, so the language of it was still something like that. You said that you could wrap your head around a little bit. It wasn't too far out there.
Yeah.
Great. So you said you were working on it for this competition. So about how long have you been working on this piece, just so I have an idea of where you're at?
So I worked on it for like a month, like basically all March, and then recorded like in April. And then just over the past couple days, I've been brushing up for today. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And so then last question before I want to hear you play a little bit. And I like to do this for most students that I work with in this capacity. Is I would love for you to tell me, in the time that you've been working on this, something that you you really enjoy about this piece in particular, or this movement, since Kennedy will be playing the first movement, and then something that you find challenging about it.
I really enjoy like how it has like a singing quality like in the tenor register, and then like when it's lower, like in the lower part of the register, it's more like punchy and like resonant. Yeah, I think it like plays the strengths of the different registers really well, so I enjoy that. Um, Something challenging. It's kind of noodly in some parts and requires you to change styles really fast, like something that's more melodic and singing, like in the tenor register and slurring, and then you're doing like staccatos in the low register. So just like trying to get a handle on that can be difficult.
Yeah. Great. So let's have you do it. And yeah, why don't you answer that question, Kennedy?
Yeah, it's called Mathematics. It's by Alyssa Morris.
All right. And Kennedy will be playing the first movement titled Geometry.
Yeah.
Bravo. All right. Sorry, I don't know if you were expecting to play the whole thing, but it sounded so lovely. I wanted to keep hearing more.
Oh yeah, that was just the first move. Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
extra fun. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So you have a lovely sound, and you do lots of beautiful things, like with spinning of your air and the just the singing quality of your sound, like what you were talking with those parts. But what I would love to talk about in taking this piece to maybe a next level is thinking a little bit more about really like honing in on the direction of where each phrase is going, like where are your main points in the phrase, and using the rhythm, the noodliness to your advantage to kind of drive it forward a little bit, in the places that are less cantabile, the places that are maybe a little more rhythmically driving. So you know, if you don't mind, we'll go through a little bit, just to think in that way, to break down the phrases in the very opening. And I'm gonna share your the score up with everyone so they can see. Let me get my Chrome up here for a second. One moment. All right, here we go. Google Chrome. All right, if that's sharing with everyone. So this opening bit that is here, where you have first of all, Kennedy, how would you describe the character of the opening of this piece?
I would say like playful.
Playful, right? And how are you going to bring that about with how you're playing it?
Just like really light articulation, very like bouncy.
Yeah, exactly. These staccatos, we have so many different ways of playing staccatos, and you were doing a really lovely job of keeping these light and bouncy. But we want to use that and give each one of these quarter notes a little bit more direction. So I want you to think about this opening phrase. I distilled that phrase into little points in it. I don't know if you noticed. If everyone look at the score, I'll play it one more time. Right here, before you come in, the piano has this done 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where you're putting this little emphasis on 1 and 3. I'm wondering, we don't want to accent this. You're right that this is light, but if we can, we don't have the piano with us here right now, kind of bring that out in our forward line a little bit more. So we have. And notice that's mostly a descending line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you play that like that?
Okay. Wait, so you did
So yeah, 1 3 1 3 1 3 1
okay.
3. Good. Do it one more time and really find that center of your sound. Boom, boom. Nice. And I even think you could give a little bit more. You're being very gentle on the first beat, right? We're in a 3 meter here, so 1 2 3 1 2 3. You can land a little more solidly on that. So one more time. Good. So I want you to play it as written now, keeping that in mind as you're spinning your air all the way to that low D flat at the end. Good. You did a beautiful job at bringing out that micro structure there, the 1 3 1. But now we can break music apart all the time and think about these little constellation points and where we're going. But now we want to think longer with it too. So bum, 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 bum. We don't have a written crescendo, but you can think about spinning your air a little bit more as you get there to the low D flat. So that's where the phrase really reaches the end. One more time. Good, keep going. Yeah, and so then even though you have that little noodle there at the end, keep playing all the way to the end of the measure as if you didn't have those 16th notes there. If you just had... Let me hear you try that. Leave the 16th notes out. Good. So now when you go to play, it's as if you just have another quarter note there, but you're going to be really steady with your fingers. And then the diminuendo. Yeah, can you try one more time? Even though, so everyone can see on the score here, the crescendo goes to the downbeat of that last measure there. But Kennedy, where do you think, where is the arrival point? Is it on that downbeat, or are you thinking that it's somewhere else?
In terms of that crescendo, I'm thinking more of the arrivals on the C, like the last.
Yeah, sorry, I'll stop sharing so I can see you a little bigger. I think so too. And so what I'm hearing is ever so slightly you're letting go of that intensity before you reach the C. Play through the 16th notes, so you have the... and then come away.
Okay.
One more time. Yeah, we can always clean up our fingers, but that was the intent. That was the phrase intent that we're looking for. So let's keep going. Yada-da-dee-da. Good. So when I think about a phrase like this, I want to break it down into all the patterns that we have in the statements of things. So we have this motive. And then what happens? Describe to me like what this phrase is doing, where it's going.
I think it's like gradually leading you towards like measure 37, like kind of working up, like it's kind of working up energy, like it's leading, like it's pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, then show me. We want to put a lot of detail and thought into the phrasing that we do, no matter if it's Mozart, if it's Alyssa Morris, and anything in between. Like plan what you're going to do and where your phrase is going to go. For me, if I were to play this section, we have a statement and then a little bit of a response, maybe a little more coy, and then then we move forward. Let me hear you try that, where you make a statement, a little less, and then move forward. Good. Can you do that same thing for me, but really maintain the integrity of the tempo so you don't take time with your phrasing? Good. So what happens next? I don't know if our audience will remember, but what do you do next?
It's the same thing, but just an octave up.
Yeah. So phrasing wise, then what is your decision? What is your intent on what you're going to do with that?
I think I should do, like, instead of kind of going away on the phrases, I should maybe get more intense.
Yeah. So when you have, you see this a lot in classical music, the like kind of rule of threes. You say something and then you say it again and then you say it differently. So you want to kind of vary the way that you're doing it. Here, we're taking, like you said, the same material at the beginning and raising it an octave. Now, Alyssa Morris made the dynamic exactly the same. So you can do it with the direction of the phrasing. And I like what you said here, where because then what happens at the end? We said something, we said it again, and then what happens?
And then you go back down, like.
And then instead of going forward like the last phrase, dotty, 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 the character changes and gets a little more playful. We've been in this cantabile world a little bit. Bring out, when you get there, this staccato is different than the one in the beginning, right? It's a little more. Go back all the way to the beginning of this kind of cantabile, what is measure 33. Bring out these, play around a little bit more with the phrasing in it and make these little details.
Okay.
Lovely, that's it. And I will say, I think pianists, when we play with the pianist, this is a sonata for piano and bassoon, not just a bassoon alone piece. And oftentimes that'll keep us in line a little bit more with our tempo. But this is the kind of thing where we want to be really lush and luxurious with things, but you have to keep the integrity of the time. I feel that sometimes you make these beautiful phrases, but you steal a little bit of time away. Okay. I would love for you, let me play from 33, just to show you what I mean. Oh, sorry, wrong page. It just keeps this forward motion to it a little bit more. Can you try that one last time? direction to it. It's not just holding out, but you have somewhere that it's going. Hopefully, did you play this with piano when you made the competition recording? Okay, yeah. So you know that underneath you there, that there's like a driving eighth note kind of thing, and that you kind of follow that. That was wonderful. Let's keep going. So now we get more noodly, right? When you were talking about like we have the same theme, but we're adding some of, you know, changing from just eighth notes into triplets. This piece, you know, talks about math and having like the play around of the rhythms between the piano and the bassoon part, but you want to keep that ease that you still had with the like more simple rhythms here. So let me hear you at 50. Next place you come in, I think it's 57.
Yeah.
Good, and you're doing a really nice job phrasing wise there for the people at home. This here, you want to bring out that descending line and kind of lift off there. It was really lovely. Try it one more time and see if you can get the yum bing bum ba dee da dee da dum. Take the triplets and let them kind of fall to the next measure.
Okay.
Lovely, keep going. So that one's a little more of a finger twister there, right? Yeah, I want to hear the rhythm. I want to hear the difference that it's triplet, 16th note, da 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 da. So, again, we can go back to that idea of constellation notes, right? About like find the main points. Instead of me telling you, look at measure 67. That's the measure with all the noodles. She's got the. What is something you can hold on to there as your main points?
Like the downbeats.
Yeah, what are they doing? Just play me the downbeats. Yeah, so
it's leading to the
right. So play that measure nice and slow. Put a tiny little accent. Ya dee da da dee da ba dee da da dum. Good. When you do the accent, keep the intensity behind it though. So instead of I want ya dee da da dee da da dee da da dum. Good. So in that tempo, ya dee da da dee da da dee da da dum. Make sure the 16th notes are the right tempo. One more time. Good. So now we've got approach it from the measure before. We're still slow. Good. Keep the accents there, but maybe make them a little less now. So they're there for you, right? They're our little secret. They're there to help you hold on to it, but a little less obvious. Good. Go back to written tempo. 65. Yup. Beep. Ba da 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 da.
Okay.
Much better. Good. Yeah. So the more you can think about finding those little patterns like that, adding in little accents, that can help us hold on to noodly parts for sure. Let's see. Places like that are, let's just keep going because the next place I think that is similar to that is a few measures away. So let's hear right at 69.
Okay.
Job with it, but one of the ways that I like to think when I have long strings of eighth notes like in a row is to actually break them into groupings that aren't on the downbeat, so it doesn't sound so downbeat heavy a lot. I'm going to do this under tempo because I haven't like looked at this that much, but when measure 76, I can pull this up for everyone to look at too. Let's see. Share. Good. So measure 76 here. Oh. So I like to think about like instead of da 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 dee dee da dum, try thinking in groups of 3, right? Ya da dum. Then the next 3 are a pickup to the next measure. Ya da dum dee dee da dee da dum dee dee da ya dee da da dee da dum. So it gives it a little more forward motion. So and then the next noodle noodle noodle. Try that for me. Yeah, it's take it or leave it in terms of phrasing, but I think what it helped this time hearing you do that it made it just sound like it was flowing a little more. It made it sound like you were a lot more comfortable in the fingers too. Okay. One more time, think about that as you go on to the next figures that are in the octave above, but still break it down into that da 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 pick up to da da dum pick up to da da dum, like that.
Okay. So from the same place?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice. How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt like it's a change of like mindset to like kind of group it differently, but it definitely makes it like flow more.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of that. When I'm feeling, I'll be working on a piece and listen back to it, like, make my practice recording, and I'll sit there, listen to it being like, it's there, the fingers are there, but it feels very beady, very notey, and how do I fix that? And 9 times out of 10, it's taking something and putting it into different groupings than downbeat, downbeat, downbeat. Da 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 dee dee da dum. And in fact, a lot of times, no matter what the style of music is, music is it's not vertical. We're not just stomping up and down. It's often going somewhere or coming away from somewhere. So I love to think about like long lines as a pickup to something, right? Ya da da dee dee da dee da da dee dee da dee da dum. But this little groupings are making kind of like micro pickups to like keep the momentum going, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Love it. Okay. Sounds great. Can we pick up then with that in mind? I want to skip ahead a bunch and let me stop sharing now because I want to go to the 4/4 section that you have at 103. Now we have a change of feel, right? A change of rhythm. So I want you to kind of take these things that we've been talking about what is a pickup to something else, right? How do you take what you have and make it lead forward to the next thing? So start right there. Pick up to 104. Written that way. Sorry to interrupt. That one's even written that way. Ba-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee. You're tying into the downbeat. So try where that? We have little pickups, but then it's the main one, the long-term one is the E flat, right? One more time. But back from 10, pick up to 104. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more thing. I'm being super nitpicky because you play so beautifully. After when you reach the downbeat, you're lifting like really elegantly and really beautiful. But to keep the forward momentum going, da 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 dee da 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 dee, stay set, think like your air is gonna hit the wall, like over when you reach the E flat there at the end. Don't make these tiny little micro lifts in the middle, but think about the long-term goal.
Okay.
like forward momentum, but it just felt like you kept the phrase all the way to the end that time. Sometimes, you know, it's great to plan out our phrases and do all these little things like we've been talking about, but again, you want to think small picture and big picture, zoomed in and also out, and that was lovely. Let's just hear you play a little bit more because it's lovely, and then maybe we'll, I'm looking at the time, we'll move on soon to Vincent. Just a little more.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna start from 109.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So I even circled this place before. Sorry. When you get to 115, you're doing a lot of beautiful like micro things, but remember, think about the long picture too, that it's all just coming away. So and then I would love to, I know it's in piano, but a little more bite on those accents, right?
Okay.
Do 109 one more time. Yeah, nice. Yada, I'm still hearing a little bit of yada da 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 in 115, a little extra. What is the to you and your concept of the phrasing there? Da-dee-da, what is the strongest beat in that measure? What is the thing you want to bring out?
I guess beat 3 comes across like strong.
So you want to bring out beat 3?
Yeah.
I want to lead to that. Okay, so then keep in the sound until you get there. Yadi da da dee da dee da dum, and don't do too much swelling on the first beat. Yeah.
Okay.
One more time. Yeah, even with the little crack there, that it felt just like it flowed a little better.
Okay.
Wonderful, Kennedy. Thank you. I think let's leave it there. Bravo, and thank you so much for playing.
No, thank you.
All right. So next up we have Vincent. And so Vincent, whenever you are ready, or as you're getting ready, I would love for you to tell everyone at home who you are, where you're from, all of that, and then kind of a little bit about this piece that you're going to be playing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Vincent Martinez. I am a native here of Dayton, Ohio. I graduated in the spring of 2020 with my bachelor's in music education, having studied with Mr. Bill Jobert. In that year now, since graduation, I've been teaching middle school, been teaching private lessons, and just kind of doing that part of the whole post-graduation. This summer, I will be acting as a woodwind teaching assistant at Interlochen Fine Arts Camp. So we'll be up there here in just a couple of weeks. And then this fall, I will be returning to Wright State for an additional performance specialist certificate, and once again studying with Mr. Bill Jobert. Here today, I will be performing just a snippet of Kaghondi wa Mwanga's A Nightmare. Within our community, within the Bassoon community, Midori Sampson is and those of us that have met her and had a chance to work with her, she is just such a lovely human being. She has just finished up her doctorate, and then within like the playing aspect, she is the bassoonist for Trade Winds and one of the founding members. And so one of her projects over the course of the last few years, but this piece specifically was commissioned and then brought to us in 2020. And so Midori has commissioned and worked with composers from Africa, where the Trade Winds have done a lot of work and just outreach within those communities, and has brought that music for the solo bassoon and then a little bit for some accompanying bassoon as well into our repertoire. And so I had met Midori a number of years ago and was interested in looking at one of these pieces. And so this is the one I chose. To be completely sincere, a lot of it was based off of the title. And then also Midori has recordings on her website and then on YouTube as well. The piece itself is for solo bassoon and ankle bells. And so I think my big note on the ankle bells for today is that I know I have like a specific timbre that I want from the bells, and I have not found the bells that I had were too bright for what I wanted, and so I'm going to be going without them today. I just don't feel like they added anything, and so the bells that I have purchased are a woodier sound. They're actually seed pods, and so just to throw that note in there as well. Then I think my other note of the piece here is that although the title A Nightmare, I feel that it reflects differently from, again, what like the preconceived, or what my preconceived sound idea of what a nightmare sounds like. Is not as like dark and dreary and spooky as what my ear thinks it would be. And so I think that is an interesting note as I've started to work on this. I have jump in there. I have not worked on it very long, which is why I picked this section here that is a little tamer and a little steadier within time as well for this opening, and then into the rubato section that is not quite as busy. Yeah, I think those are my couple points there. Did I miss anything?
No, wonderful. No, you gave a great explanation. So when Vincent was in contact about this class, you had mentioned the ankle bell thing. So definitely worth talking about some of those elements, and I'll share the score in a little bit. And I love that you shared your conception of like an interpretation of a nightmare, and already have this really vivid and great concept for what that means to you and how you want to incorporate that in the piece. So that's lovely. On the ankle bell things, I know in the score it mentions the making sure that they just don't ring, right?
Yes.
This is something that it cuts off really quite abruptly. So are you getting something that's on a felt kind of
what I ordered will have to be altered just a bit to be of use. I have an idea already of kind of what I want to do there, and if I need to dampen the effect, then we'll experiment with that further as well. That part will certainly take some experimentation, as well as just like the physicality. I know many of us grew up and through much of our like musical raising would tap our foot to keep time. But the physical action of like raising the foot through those portions is tiring. And so just even where to raise the foot from, either from the heel or from the toe, also makes like a really big difference. And so that's
it really does. Yeah, and so I
another
just
note.
want to ask you, it would be Zoom, not being on Zoom would be the ideal way to view this piece, because we don't have a foot cam on you right now to see the movement. But is your ultimate goal for performing this going to be sitting or standing?
I do overall prefer sitting.
Okay, and that's totally fine. fine. But my one comment about that before we jump in was going to be that if you did have the ultimate goal of doing this standing, that we all know that like there's so many different physical feelings about playing bassoon sitting versus standing, that even if we were just playing the bassoon, I know I practice my music. If I know I'm going to play something standing, I practice it that way because it feels different. Like, you know, the way the reed comes in your mouth, where you're going. So good. So my one comment was going to be like, if you ever think you're going to play this standing, you should just be practicing it standing. But since you're going to be sitting, that's a whole other way to think about moving your foot. But, well, I'll take your word then for the foot, and we'll talk about some tactics for that when you're done. But I'll shut up now and let's hear you play.
All right, gotcha.
Oh, and remind me, please, sorry, where you're starting at again?
I will be starting at the pickups into measure 68. It is the section A dance.
Bravo. Thank you. So the part that you played, well, I really loved in that second rubato section. It's often hard to tell dynamics over Zoom, but it sounds like from this end you were getting a really lovely, like, nice, pale, soft color in that end of that rubato section. So lovely, and bravo. But what so there are of what you played, there are two pretty distinct sections. There's that part with the foot bells, and then the part without, right? The rubato part afterwards at the end. So let's kind of break it down that way. And I want to show everyone, because again, I couldn't tell if you were doing any foot movement, but I want to show everyone at home kind of how this is notated, and kind of what's going on in terms of what you're responsible for doing in this section. So we have And the score here, this is the beginning of where Vincent started playing. So you have the pickup, and then there's just this regular kind of recurring foot movement that are supposed to be the bells on your ankle here. And so, you know, often as bassoonists, we're not trained to do things other than play the bassoon when we're doing it. So it takes some extra practice and really careful practice to be able to pull these kind of things off. But when you do, it's really lovely. And this particular piece, Vincent had mentioned that it's from Midori Sampson's commissioning project of composers from different countries in Africa. This particular piece, I had when I heard that you were playing this, I went and found Midori's lovely recording of this, and there's a wonderful conversation, or I should say introduction by the composer talking about his piece. Then if you want to go find it, he talks a lot about his interest in blending the worlds of the indigenous Tanzanian folk music with his study of Western classical music. And I think that's really apparent in the, you know, extra foot percussion in here.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your, right now, tactics? What have you done to practice this?
The two like substantial tactics are just isolating the beats that the foot and the bassoon play together, and then just having the foot tap consistently to establish that time, and then to isolate / accent. Some of that is like a subconscious accent or push with the tongue, and some of that's like the attempted accent of a heavier foot, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now the foot still taps on that third beat, but softer, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And the overall dynamic of the foot part, from where it even comes in earlier on, is piano-ish, right? It's not
Ish, yeah, no, and
but a gentle movement.
Yep.
So, you know, you were talking about the physicality and how much to move or whatever. It really will depend on, you know, the particular type of bells that you get and how sensitive they are. But
Yep.
I have one thing, even my regular bassoon playing, no extra objects involved at all. Just general bassoon playing, I think it's so important. I've done a lot of Alexander's technique, and I think playing bassoon from a place of tension-free, relaxed, knowing where you're putting your body weight is an ideal scenario, and especially when we start to add in these other elements, it's something to keep thinking about too. Have you ever done any Alexander technique?
Not extensive, but at again, like master classes and the conference.
One of the main like tenets of it, and a teacher that I had for it would always repeat the phrase, do less. And if I could wrap up Alexander technique or any of these body awareness techniques in 2 words, it would be that: do less. A lot of the things that we do to play the bassoon, we think we have to use more of our body than we do to do that. And that's, you know, when we're playing and we don't want to be that student raising their shoulders. I'm not saying that you were doing that, but, you know, as an example of just bassoon playing things. So when we add in our foot, we want to think, how small can I move my foot? In what way to get the sound to happen? And so with whatever you have, like, it seems like you've been playing around with that. Have you picked which foot you're using?
I'm going to use my left.
You're going to use your left foot. Okay, so then an important thing there is, like, right, because in the composer says, you know, 1 foot. It's not like you're going to go back and forth between the 2. 1 foot with bells on them. So when you're practicing and thinking about that, you know, good bassoon posture anyways when you're seated, right, is to really feel your sit bones in your chair and let your weight fall there. So I think in being able to, I played around with this a little bit since I got your music. I don't have bells, but I was practicing it this way. One thing that helped me out a lot in it is making sure that I'm putting that weight all in my chair and my legs aren't tense. I'm not trying to like ground
balance,
weight in my feet. Because there's 2 different points of balance or centers of your gravity depending on when you're playing standing or when you're playing sitting. When you're standing, you know, we think about everything, like let everything fall down to your feet. Use the 3 points in your feet, the ball of your foot, little toe, and your heel, and that's going to help you. For those of you, come down to the camera, Tish, if you have problems playing while standing, is to really like use that as an anchor point and let go from everywhere else, and it's really going to help you get your support and not feel tight. So when you're sitting, where is that for you, Vincent? Where do we put our weight?
That weight is then like coming down like into the hips.
Into the hip flexors and the tailbone, right? So
Yeah.
I want you, and this is earlier in the piece, and don't make a bigger movement just for everyone to see, but I want you to hold out like a, and move your foot from where you're keeping the front of your foot on the ground and you're lifting your heel a little bit.
Okay.
Try that. So now, do you find when you go to play like that, what do you notice about versus normal playing? Do you ever feel like tighter? Play just a normal C first. Don't move your foot. Yeah, so either way, I would love for you to relax, use your corners a little bit more, and put a little more support into it so it can be a little warmer, a little fuller.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the more you can practice holding that out and keeping it steady. Try that one more time without any foot motion so you can get the warmest, most round resonant C that you can get. Lower back. Better. So even when we're playing soft, we still want color, unless it's very, very soft, and then you want to soften it a little bit. But I want to note with color. So now, try and maintain that. And just tap a steady 4 using lifting your heel. Yeah, so we put a lot of focus on moving that foot, but you need to also make sure that it's there in your support. One more time.
Yep.
Good, so that's one practice tactic I would do, just like in a warm-up. Maybe even you're playing a scale, right?
Yeah.
When you get your new bells in, warm up with your bells, right?
Okay. Yep.
Metronome. Good. So then when you get to, I did just realize I've been screen sharing the whole time with this. That's fine. But right where you started here. So my other tactic here is, why don't you try, instead of thinking about this pattern that you have to be keeping, just downbeats, right? You have almost every downbeat. So and just tap on downbeats.
Okay. Sure.
Good. All right. So another way, adding on to that then, what I would do then is isolate. So what do you notice about the pattern? And everyone at home can look at it too. What do you notice about the pattern of these foot stomps?
The metric pattern is 2 measures of 3, 3 measures of 2, 2 measures of 3, 3 measures of 2. And then the foot itself, the rhythm within that stays consistent. 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1.
Exactly. Yeah, you're always, whenever you're in 3, you're doing 1, 2. Whenever you're in 2, you've got one. So that's something else to hold on to. I love finding patterns and using that as a learning tool and using that as a way to like practice my music. And it seems like you do too, which is great. That would be another separate way that I would practice this. The third, which I'm sure you've also gone through and done, is take the foot out of it. Can you? It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach, right? These are all percussionist tactics, also, like, you know, where you have to do multiple things at one time.
Yep.
Try clapping the rhythm.
Yeah, no,
And
I actually did that this morning to try to be keeping the foot the rhythm below the accompaniment, and then singing, and I snap a lot, and so snapping, then what else is happening on top of that?
yeah. Since I can't see your foot, I would actually love to see you try that. I do not care about pitch content. You just let's ta rhythm if you don't want, but I want to see the snaps line up with the melodic content that you have.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So then this took me to my additional point. Then is I think take the feet out of the way. Sometimes your grace notes are slipping you up a little bit, and I would really practice this even without the foot stuff. I want to hear the beginning of this. No grace notes. And then keep going.
Cool.
Okay. Talking about phrasing of this a little bit, sometimes when we're trying to think about tapping our foot, it's a little harder to focus on that. But it was a lot more clear without the grace notes, which shows me you want to be a little more grounded in that bass rhythm first before we introduce the grace notes. Where you ended at 73, 74, just a little note about where it's going. I was talking a lot with Kennedy about direction in things. It seems like a da-da-dum. Whenever we have that staccato is such an elusive marking, but here I think it's weight.
Yeah.
So go there and lead to it a little bit more. Do the beginning of this one more time, no grace notes, and really think about the direction of your grace.
Okay. Yep.
Try it one more time. I want you to really feel your pulse. Start. Yeah, so da 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 ba da da.
There's a flat.
Yeah, you can stop there. Lovely. So, what about? I couldn't tell what you wanted to do in 69 and 70 here.
That's an awesome question. I didn't either.
That long A flat. We've established music is going somewhere, coming away from somewhere. Are you growing with energy there, or are you coming away?
I think if I grow on the next one, when it happens, or when we have the held note in 70, 73, 74, that then for this longer one to come down a bit more so that it's more room to grow.
I agree a lot. So that A flat there, you can remain a little static at the beginning, but it wants to go to ba-da-dee-dum, dee-da-dum a little bit. Even though there's no crescendo written there, you don't have to exaggerate it, but where am I at? We're not doing grace notes yet, but that it has the energy to go up there.
Yeah.
Let's put in though for time. So now these grace notes. Grace
Yep.
notes can be flippant, they can be vocal, sung through a little more. What is your intention here?
I think that these ones should have more of that like vocal quality to them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to help if you figure out how to do that and where to place them, it's going to help the line a little bit more. So we'll go. Oops, I turned the page with my pedal. Okay. Let me just hear that much. Where really when I hear the C flat, that grace note there. Did you tongue that?
I probably did. Yeah.
If you didn't, the sound is cutting out, which is why I had the question.
No, I probably did tongue it. Yeah.
Yeah. A little more.
Yeah, I'll try it again.
Lovely. All right, let's keep going with the grace notes. Right there. We've established this character that it's like sung and beautiful, and you're right to have a little bit of lift there, but can you try and make it a little fuller? Because you have a staccato coming up. You're like a bad tenor here a little bit.
Yeah.
Or this would be a baritone, right? Yeah. Go ahead. How about right for da da da?
Yep.
You just do not quite there yet. It's getting there, but stay in the sound. Don't let go too much. I know we have that lift, but stay in your support. So it's a little more connected.
Okay.
Right there. One more time. Good. So then keep going from there. Good. So here, this is a rhythmic integrity thing right here. Don't let the grace notes get in the way. Is that? Sorry, I was gonna ask you. Does the A flat carry through the octave for this piece did the composer?
I have been. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Let me scroll down so you guys see. That's right here, by the way. So there's the A flat that carries, but then we're gonna do an A flat, which I think makes sense because musically the A flat keeps coming back here. Right. Good.
Yeah.
So. Sorry, what were you saying, Vincent?
Do you think then, because all of the C's around it are flat, that C should be flat, or should the C be natural?
That is a very good question. That one is less ambiguous though because there hasn't been a C flat.
Okay.
But, so another really great thing, so you have so many, unlike the music of Bach, where you're like, what did Bach mean by that? Blah, blah, blah. If you're playing music by living composers today. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this composer, I'm sure his contact information is up and around, and also we have the resource of the person who commissioned it, Midori,
Yeah.
right? So these are questions that don't have to be the, what do you think? you can go to the people that originated the work and find that answer, which is a wonderfully great. Like, I love that aspect of playing the music of today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that in mind, though, here, I still want to hear the bum 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 while singing
Yep.
your great notes.
Okay.
So everyone at home can see, buddy, ba ba da ba. There's no lift in here. In fact, it's under a slur. So sing through it. It changes the character, and it actually, I think, makes it a little easier. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Next, can I hear? Slower, so you can do it right. Do you just have one grace note or two?
There.
The first one it's ba-da-dee, ba-ba-da. At least in the part you sent me, it's one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you're
I know. I hear. I see what's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One more time. Right here.
Yep. That's just a figure. I learned it wrong.
So that'll help you sing through that.
Okay.
Stuffed your tongue did. Anyways, I won't harp on that for our audience at home today. But little details like this, right?
Yeah. I got you.
Bring out the intent, the phrasing of it, but also it actually help technically a little bit. It sounds a little too disjointed right now. The way he wrote it is gorgeous. And then so when you go, that one is also lightly tongued because another A. But let's skip ahead. Ooh, we've been working together for a while. Yeah. Good. My one comment about the rubato part, and this is the thing for any piece, be it romantic, modern, that has rubato or you want to do rubato, highly recommend just really making sure, make your plan for how you want to move things around later, but establish a really strong sense of rhythmic integrity before you
do that.
with some of that. So what I was hearing a little bit, let me scooch ahead in the music. This is where we're at now. Is that when we got to some of these triplets, things in here, things got a little crunched. I lost track of really like feeling where the beat is. And the more you can feel where that is, you can make your phrasing decisions. You can make your decisions of where it moves forward after you establish that. So I would love you to start right on where it's rubato, right? So and maybe think in eighth notes here, right? So that you get that sense of rhythm.
Yeah. Okay.
So right at that pick up to 89. Sorry I didn't let you play that long. Think in eighth notes. And let that grace note be more vocal. Give it more room. Good. Nice. So phrasing wise now here. Let the triplets be a little more relaxed. Yeah. Be careful with that. Are you doing? Which F sharp are you doing?
I did back.
Okay, yeah. I would use your thumb. But then use your pinky for the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you're coming from an E flat, right? I always find that that's a little easier. Try it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Tracked
Good.
it.
All right.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. You can work on those things. But do you have any other questions? We did a lot of minutia. We talked a lot about and didn't get to hear. I would have loved to march around the stage with bells with you and have everyone see that. But maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, I think that gives me a lot of better ideas and more direction and like I said, that in this year, a lot of what I've done is just me chilling in my practice space, and that sometimes lacks a little bit of direction, just to be sincere. And so having just those couple extra ideas are absolutely appreciated.
Well, I look forward to. I do have a time to perform this because it's a wonderful piece. I hope you'll get a chance to perform it soon.
I do as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
All right. I know we have the class is supposed to run a little bit longer, and I would, if people want to stick around, we had the 2 students today, and I got into some minutia with things, and I hope everyone found something useful out of it. But what I would love, if people want to stick around, is to show you a little bit of things. Some of the with contemporary bassoon music, some of you may know this already. There are a wide level of people here on the call. There's professionals, students, but what I would love to do is a little bit of overall overview of some contemporary techniques. We heard a little bit of some theatrical elements, foot things, but show you some things in the context of some bassoon repertoire, so that maybe you guys will learn about some pieces that you didn't know that well either. I know someone in the comments said something about like it was great to discover these pieces that they didn't know very much about either. So this little bit, and I might not take the whole extra bit of time. I would love this to be really open. If anyone wants to come off of chat, mute rather, or pop in the chat with questions about things, wants me to try something that I am talking about. I would be very happy to do that. So let me kind of pull that other stuff up. All right. So I want to talk about like some extended techniques, but before I get into that, and I hope that it was kind of brought up in the things that I mentioned both to Kennedy and Vincent, is that performing contemporary repertoire can and should require the same attention to detail and nuance that we put into our standard rep. I got a little bogged down in some of that nuance and minutiae today, but it really helps bring some of these pieces alive. So the things that we spend all those hours working on for Mozart and and anything else, the beautiful sound, focus, intonation, and then a solid concept and idea for your phrasing, is going to help these pieces and bring them alive, just as they do for anything else in earlier history. For some of us, it's wonderful that those of you that are in school right now, a lot of you are getting a lot more exposure and training in the techniques and languages of contemporary music than I know even I did. I'm not that old, but I did. I don't think I really played any extended technique stuff. I definitely didn't in undergrad. I played like one piece in masters that's when I learned how to flutter tongue. But it's wonderful that you guys are all learning these things earlier. But something else that sometimes I think, at least in students that I've talked to, is a bit of a barrier to entry in terms of approaching these pieces, is that for things like Mozart and things like that, there are a lot of recordings that you can listen to and like, oh, this is how it goes, and you have that oral aid in working on the piece. And some of these pieces, these newer pieces, have wonderful recordings, and the people are putting them online. Vincent had heard the piece that they played by Midori's recording online, so it's a wonderful thing that we get to have. But for those pieces that may not have recordings, and you find and you're like, oh, this might look interesting, sometimes that can be a little scary. But I love to spin that to students in the positives of it. It's we get to not rely on the like, this is the way the Saint-Saëns goes and this is the way this goes, but instead like explore the pieces and develop our own musicianship with them. Not having that baggage of like, this is the way it goes. And also that you can talk, like as I also said with working with Vincent, you can talk to the composer or the collaborators when there are things usually. So just a quick nitty gritty of some things. I'm going to pull this up. Again, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to. Where is this presentation? There's that link. There it is. Okay. I share. So, right, we hear things about extended techniques all the time, and I just kind of wanted to list some things here. Maybe there are some things some of you haven't heard of before, like that, or things that you come across in pieces that you don't quite understand, like a piece that you might want to play, and you have to find out about. I broke them down into different categories. We have things, monophonic techniques, right? Things that one note, things that aren't multiphonics, right? So timbre fingerings are really basically you're keeping the same note, but you're doing using one of the many extra keys that we have on the bassoon to change the timbre of it a little bit. So you can, for G, just be like, a student that doesn't use a resonance key, but move your finger up and down. You can use get different timbres depending on the keys that you use also, so that there's different combinations of them. It's not just like one or the other. Harmonics, we can make harmonics like string players, right? If you play a low B flat, you can get the harmonic series above it if you blow the higher note down there. And sometimes at written, those are really finicky, and I'm not a huge fan of when they're in pieces. We all know microtones. In the step between half steps, and then all of the things that move along. I wanted to show you an example. Like I said, I want you guys to learn about some new repertoire. This is an excerpt of a piece for bassoon duo by Chan-Ji Kim called La Passeggiata. It's originally for 2 bass clarinets, and there's a version on Trevco for 2 bassoons. This is from the second movement, I believe. And it's a wonderful piece. I played it with my colleague Rachel Elliott at the Laundry School of Music Double Reed Day. And I wanted to showcase this here just as an example of some of the monophonic techniques that I had mentioned on the page before, where you can use actually like a very wide old man vibrato as a technique. There's pitch bending in here. As a nice effect. Multiphonics, everyone loves bassoon multiphonics, right? For those of you that aren't super deep into the world, there's like 3 different ways of making them. Often we're exposed to the ones that you get when you underblow a note up in the tenor register. And those are really, a lot of them are very tonal and lovely. And they can use delicately. Overblowing. You can overblow your B flat, low notes down there. And the change of fingering one is, I have an example from Leslie Ross.net here, where you see an example of some notation where there's like, it's basically a low F, the way he wrote it here, where the way they wrote it here with that, and the adding the B flat key. Play your A flat and lift. lift first right hand finger. nowadays it's really easy to find this material online, but the one thing I wanted to show is that there's so many different ways to notate it, so don't be afraid when you see all of these different versions of a similar thing. This one up here is from the Gubaidulina Bassoon Concerto for Bassoon and Low Strings. And she's using the fingering system from the Bartolozzi book, where the the extra fingers are on a number system. So you have to kind of hunt around to find those, like 4 is the whisper key. And often there's not a chart in the part, so you have to go find it. But whereas you see things like this one down here is from Nagoon by Philippe Persant. And he uses his multiphonics very tonally, like where you're coming in and out of sneaking in and out of them. That here they're a little more percussive. But he just puts the fingering there, which is really clear. And that system is from the Pascal Galois book. And then this one down here is from a piece that I recently played, Tanya Leon's Pinceladas, where she kind of does a mixture. They're definitely still on the Bartolozzi fingering system, but she's also putting out the chord here, so you know what it's supposed to sound like. Let's see. And then other techniques, right? We have flutter tongue, circular breathing, air sounds, key clicks. Anyone who wants a handout of some of these things after the class, you can, I can put my email in here if anyone wants to message me. Actually, I'm happy to send some handouts to people. I'm very, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this kind of music and about bringing it to life and giving it character. Like, it's the music of our time, so we get to be the interpreters of it, which I really appreciate. Okay, yes, I'll put my email in there. And so then other common elements that I just wanted to bring up, because so the first piece that we heard, when we heard Kennedy play, there was nothing strange about the piece that she played, but some potential barriers to entry, like the newliness of it, things that change meter a lot, like for a beginner player or someone really trying to get into contemporary music, sometimes this is a barrier to entry, and or at least something that you have to wrap your head around a little bit. So these are things to practice. You know, some of the techniques before, I was talking with Vincent about possibly, you know, playing the bells while you're playing scales, and it's a funny thing, but it's actually, you know, you want to put any technique you're working on into your warm-up routine. So if you're doing, you know, you can practice. If you're having a hard time maintaining flutter tongue through changes of notes, do it in a scale. I flutter by a growl, by the way. If any of you can't roll your R's like me, that's the way to do it. But same thing, singing while playing. The Pascal Galois techniques of bassoon playing, he has a whole exercise on like holding out a note, playing in thirds with yourself while you sing and play, and it's a skill you can, I am not as I can hold out a note, but I can't play a scale. But if I practiced it, it's all practicable skills, right? I got into that because if you're having any problems with, say, like tuplets, you see a piece and it's like 5/3. You have to fit 5 notes into 3/4, and you see that a lot in the I think it's the Gubaidulina Bassoon Sonata, the Bassoon Duo Sonata. You know, a great way to do that is, you know, practice the part, but also if you just want to delve into it, you know, find a 3/4 and sorry, 2, 3. Practice all your scales. You have to practice your scales all the time anyways. Change the rhythm. Why are we doing them in 8th notes all the time? Do them in 5/3. And then things about notation. So just to end, I wanted to show you guys just a few more examples of pieces that are currently some of my faves that have these techniques in them that I've been playing. A combination of solo stuff and some chamber stuff, because my quintet, like I said, I'm in the City of Tomorrow Wind Quintet. This first piece is super fun. It is The Favettes by Brad Balliot, and he is a bassoonist. If you guys don't know his work and things, you should check him out. But he does a lot with multiphonics, and multiphonics as pitch, not noise. So you can see he has like a lot of that going on here. But I put this as an example. I was talking about meter and tempo. The tempo changes almost every other bar, and it's something to like work on and have. Not only you have the meter changing so much, but the tempo changing too. I have if you reach out to me too, the document that I has some links to recordings for all of these, and I'd be happy to share that too. This is another example of frequent meter changes, maybe without a lot of extended techniques. That we have some timbre fingerings here. This is Nicola Lefanu's Sir Harlequin, which I just recorded to do on the IDRS symposium, which next month, so you guys could hear that piece. She's an English composer that wrote the piece in 2012. This is, if any of you guys have forayed into extended techniques world and want a really awesome bassoon duo, this is an excerpt of a piece by Jesse Cox titled Earth. Lots of multiphonics, lots of very complex, intricate rhythmic material here. But the idea is that it's not supposed to sound like, individually you're sitting there going, like over and over again, and the other bassoon's not quite with you, but it's supposed to be this feeling of the earth breaking apart and like this unsettledness. It's fantastic. This is a piece by Seth Cluett called A Rift Within. And this is a very different piece that includes electronics. This is a lot of improvisation and cell-based material. So if you've never seen anything like this before and have a piece put in front of you, that may seem daunting, but it's you have all your pitches here. It's based on time. It's a little small to see, but the piece is 7 minutes long, and the material happens within a time frame. A lot of us got to know this year through the McQuigley competition. I think Rena Ismail's Zinfandel. I've been playing that piece for many years, and it's a wonderful piece with some feather beaming. Not a lot of crazy extended techniques in it, but beautifully written. And then finally, a piece that's near and dear to me because it was written for me is Fantasy for Bassoon and Electronics by Stuart Brzezinski. It is a pre-set electronics part, but it is live processing, so it's the electronics are your sound getting processed live. But I wanted to include this just so you can kind of see there's no time signature in this piece. There are no bar lines. There's some ideas of ones somewhere to show you sections, but the idea is that it moves through timestamps and where you need to be at a certain place. So it's all you get to really express your own creativity within the time frame, because again they're somewhat like they're notated rhythms, but then a lot of these feather beams, this like things that happen. So that was a very I just wanted to do a little spiel, and I wanted to give you guys some resources, and then again I can give this to you as a handout too. But it was an absolute pleasure to both work with the students today and just to spend time with you all. I love being a bassoon nerd. But I'm wondering, as I close this out a little bit, if anyone has any questions, or just even comments or wants to talk about, some of the things I just shared. The dreaded Zoom silence.
I will say one thing is that if you guys are interested in getting in to some extended technique stuff, on July 24th, the third masterclass in this series is going to be Alban Wesley. And the way that we're doing this is a Socratic style. So everyone is encouraged to make the weirdest wacky noise that you can be on bassoon and submit it. And then we're going to go around in that masterclass together and discuss how these things are made and how they're used to make music. So if you're interested in getting into some of this stuff, that would be a great class and a place to start.
You're making me want to. I will be there.
It's going to be super fun.
Great.
That's on the 24th at 10 a.m. Western Pacific time. So, Albin Wesley is out of the Netherlands, so getting some stuff in there.
Yes, who you heard on the Leitzinger Bassoon Quartet video from the beginning of class. I know it came across a little jerky to me, but it'll be posted elsewhere, I think, later, so you can enjoy the beautiful sound and the picture. Nancy, what kind of multiphonics are the most fun on your new Leitzinger bassoon? Yes, my new Leitzinger bassoon. A lot of them. The thing is like people who do multiphonics a lot, like multiphonics are so different from instrument to instrument. But what I've noticed on this bassoon is that they're a lot easier to speak and quicker to speak in the tenor register, and I think I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the beautiful like sound, the way that it plays in the tenor register, anyways, and how lovely it is. But I just feel like I have a lot of flexibility, especially up there with making really beautifully soft multiphonics. But in terms of just general favorite multiphonics, I don't know. I've always been very partial to, which is A flat minus one, right hand one. What is your favorite multiphonics? No, okay, we'll save that for the fun sound day. Anyone else?
All right, then. If no one else has any questions, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. It's been an absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Nancy, for all of your wonderful knowledge and your time today. We'd like to thank Leitzinger, of course, for sponsoring this, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. This is the first in a series of 4 masterclasses that we're hosting. Next week, same time, same bat channel, we're having the masterclass with Frank Morelli. And Frank Morelli will be holding a masterclass on tone and expression for the bassoon. And let me pull up that link really quickly. This here is a link for registration for that. So if you're interested in that one also, it's also free. It's also over Zoom. And we will be having that next week at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And
I
yeah.
wanted to remember to drop my email in here. Right, anyone. Sorry.
Definitely there. So if you were looking for any of those handouts, or if you wanted to contact Nancy about any of the other things that she discussed today, there's her email. And we thank you guys for coming. Additionally, there is a promo code that we are offering if you are interested in getting any of the products from Forest that maybe you have seen in the past at some of our other master classes, or you were interested in some of those Leitzinger vocals that are absolutely phenomenal. We have a free shipping code here for you, Lights1. It's not case sensitive, and that will get you free shipping on any of the orders for the next 2 weeks. We thank you so very much for coming, and we'll hope to see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
And thank you, Nancy.